Well, I can't believe it's that time of the year again right now. We are at the end of Q3, about to go into Q4. So, like typical fashion, this is the quarterly wrap-up for IndustrialSage.
Welcome to IndustrialSage, a free video podcast series all about digital marketing for industrial manufacturers. Hear interviews with your peers and find out how they're solving the same challenges that you might be facing in your own field. Coming to you from the Optimum Production Studio in Atlanta, Georgia, this is IndustrialSage.
All right, so we had a lot of different episodes and a lot of guests come on. A lot of things are going on at IndustrialSage, and one of the first ones was a really interesting guy by the name of Zack Scriven. If you haven't listened to his episode, you need to check it out. He is basically a social media influencer. He's got a really interesting story on how he was working at an integrator for industrial automation, and was doing that for a while and said, you know what, actually, I just want to create content for a living around the industrial automation space. And so we brought him on, learned about his story, about what he's doing. He's doing some really cool stuff. Take a few snippets and you can listen to some really awesome stuff right here.
Yeah, so touching on your point where, people say like, oh, like social media is not for them. That's really not going to be the case. Businesses won't be able to survive if they don't adopt video, if they don't adopt social media. Mm-hmm. Another thing kind of came to mind is like when Henry Ford, created the automobile.
Yep.
He said if he would have asked, like, if he took the same strategy that was working and just applied that to automobiles, he would have, put a motor inside of a horse, right? You can't really just take what was working in the physical world and put that onto the digital world. But it's very much a digital transformation, and it's kind of like a virtual, lobby, I guess. It's a virtual world where you can really grow relationships at scale. You can make personal connections without, personally having to meet them. You and I have never met, but here we are feeling like we've known each other, and we very much, do know each other through digitally, but very much real nonetheless. And I think when you start thinking about it like that, you're going to be putting yourself at a major disadvantage if you're not taking advantage of those opportunities to amplify your reach, get your message out, cultivate those relationships. Your customers are already expecting it. You look at consumer, tech. Every time you buy one of these, you're going to watch a few videos before you actually make that purchase.
Right.
And then you go into work and then it's not going to be the same. No, they're going to expect that same experience for manufacturing, for industrial side of tech. So that's really where I saw a huge void in the market.
Also, we had Sonita Lontoh. She was the VP of 3D printing and digital manufacturing for HP. We talked about strategies and best practices around really releasing a product. If you have an emerging technology in a new space, their challenge is that they are, they're known as, from a printing standpoint as, paper and, photos and all these other things, but they're getting into 3D printing. And so it's a new technology for the industry. It's a very new technology for them. And from a branding perspective, people don't necessarily associate HP with 3D printing, and so she walks us through some of the tips and strategies on what they're doing on how to really get your name out there and get your product out there when people don't associate you typically with those products.
3D printing and digital manufacturing itself is still an emerging new technology as well, to industrial manufacturers, right? So it's kind of like new, everything is new and everything is evolving, everything is emerging. And so the approach to marketing, I would say, is very different from the marketing approaches for, an established category, because this category is not established yet, right? In the mainstream, at least, even for industrial manufacturers. So really, a lot of our marketing strategies and activities are focusing on 3 pillars, Danny. So the first pillar is what I would call building the market and creating awareness. So building the market is actually important because, again, the market is emerging, right? And so for that, a lot of our activities are focusing on building this kind of multi-channel, multi-touch marketing plan that really showcase all the possibilities and all the benefits that 3D printing can deliver. Mm-hmm. And then in addition to that, we also showcase our thought leadership because, again, it's an emerging area. So leaders such as HP has to have a point of view of like what does digital manufacturing mean and what kind of benefits and how does it fit in within all of the other advanced technologies in manufacturing. So we also showcase our thought leadership, of course, with industry analysts, industry influencers, and the ecosystem partners and customers. And then the second pillar is what I would call showcasing our customer successes. This is like a customer advocacy. As I would say, the audience probably understand in the industrial world, nothing speaks louder than the customer success. As a technology provider, you can say all you want, but until a customer that I think his or his peers respect, share something, probably share their best practices, lessons learned, how they're leveraging our technology to deliver benefits for them and to achieve their business objectives. I just don't think, I cannot say enough about the importance really about customer advocacy. So in marketing, we work hard to document and also showcase all of these customer successes, be it through our videos, our case studies. We let our customers present, at industry events. We do webinars together. We do a lot of things to really let the customer shine, because at the end of the day, that's how you showcase that you're actually delivering value.
We also talked with Paul Conrath. He was the VP of Sales and Marketing for Custom Control Sensors. They've got a really interesting story. In fact, they were actually one of the manufacturers that actually had these pressure control sensors for the Apollo capsule for when it came back into Earth and it re-entered and it popped the top so that they could have the parachutes released. They do some really awesome stuff. And so Paul talked with us about how they've transitioned using their website to generate leads and really kind of share his story on how he was able to get his organization to get buy-in and say, yeah, we need to start doing this, and why it's important to them.
The aerospace industry is changing from older engineers and old ways of doing things to younger people. And it presents two different ways of two different entry points into the industry. We generally are a technical product. We have to deal with engineers. We design parts for usually to some kind of specification. So an engineer is almost always involved. And we are a relatively small company. We're not quite as big as Boeing, and so it takes a while to get into people and finding the right people. Some of that is done the old-fashioned way, where you call on people, you bring them up. But we're finding more and more the younger people don't want to be bothered. And I say younger, I don't know. But they don't want to be bothered. If they want something, they'll look on the internet. They'll look and see who's using whatever. So while we still do the old, we go to the Paris Air Show. We have a booth. We put out flyers. We make sales calls. We follow up on, try to make it easy to be seen and then easy to do business with. We also are finding that we need to find more ways to reach out to the people and get them to be aware of us. And once they become aware of us, then we can work on through the customer journey, as they call it. So that's where we're finding more with digital marketing, how to get people who don't go to the air shows, who don't necessarily know us from. We have a long history, and a lot of people in the aerospace, once they know you and they're comfortable with you, they'll continue to use you. But as the younger people come up, they're not ones that design the old aircraft. They're designing new stuff. So we're trying to find ways to get in front of them, to help them become aware of us, to help them reach out and see our products, and as I said, make it easy to do business with us. And that's where the digital marketing the effort that we're putting forward is starting to show results.
Also, we had a lot of other episodes around viral video content or viral content in general, how to do that, what those myths are. People typically think, oh, you have to have 1 million views for your content to go viral. That's not really true. So we kind of break down what you should be looking at in terms of what would you consider viral content and how to set up your content for success. There is this allure of the magical unicorn of viral content that everybody wants to have. And so it's a good motive, but there's a big fundamental lack of understanding of what that actually means and how to do it. So the first kind of rumor that I wanted to dispel with this, when you're thinking about having content go viral, is that what does viral mean for you? And typically most people come back and say, hey, well, we need to have millions of views in our YouTube video. And millions of views is great, but there's a fundamental challenge with it. And the challenge is, as it relates to your brand, as it relates to your customers that you're trying to get in front of, are there 1 million of them out there? Are there 10 million of them out there? Maybe there's only like 100. Maybe there's only 500. So setting the expectation of something to be like, we want millions of views could be very largely irrelevant, and you're setting yourself up for failure because your audience size is super small. Another example to look at that is, this whole quality versus quantity kind of thing. So, this is a big challenge you hear with, social media metrics, or let's say even email, for example. A lot of people reporting, oh, we have a 10,000 person email list or 100,000 or whatever. And well, the reality of it is, okay, well, how many of those 10,000 or 100,000 or whatever that number is, how many of them are actually engaged with how many of them are actually ideal prospects or customers who can buy your product or service? Along the similar lines of viral content, we jumped into this whole like Popeyes chicken sandwich debacle, which was a really great follow-in, which we did not plan for. It just kind of happened. It was very interesting. That followed up after the viral content episode, talking about what was going on with Popeyes. And what does that have anything to do with manufacturers is a really great story about how you can think about leveraging social and you can really make your content go viral. So take a look. You got all kinds of stuff. People, they created like just a ridiculous amount of buzz off of doing this. I don't even know how many followers they've increased. I'm sure we could find that somewhere, but I know it's got to be nuts. Well, look at that. You got pictures, you got people lining up around the side, people selling their friggin' sandwiches on eBay for, $7,500. They just created this massive buzz, $65 million worth of, equivalent media ad spend they got from that. And it literally just created a lot of conversation. And so I think the story that I kind of wanted to share with this in term as it relates to manufacturing and really relates to marketing in general is to think about this. Last week we were talking about how to make your content go viral. One of those areas we mentioned is that just having that content doesn't necessarily mean anything. So in there, and you can break this down even a little bit. So you look at Popeyes. They had this product, right? They have a product. Nobody knows about it. Nobody was going to the store and saying, "Oh, I want to do this," and there were lines waiting forever, to get this sandwich. And it was probably a really good sandwich, right? But what was the difference? What was the difference between August 5th versus August 12th, or even last week or yesterday, with this whole thing? Same sandwich, same product. We're creating attention. We're creating demand. People, all of a sudden, it was like, we have to have this thing. Before, nobody really cared about it. And I think that's obviously part of what marketing is all about. But it's also, you can't just have a product and put it out there on a shelf. It can be the most amazing product in the world, but if nobody knows about it, nothing's going to happen. The same thing with your content. That's a big piece, right? You have to have, what was one of those areas that we talked about to actually make it go viral? Having an influencer or somebody with a following to actually like shed light on it, and that's what kind of makes things go nuts. Next, we talked about really creating a great experience for your customers after the sale and why marketing really has a vested interest to do that and how to do that. So I used actually a story from Chick-fil-A, a real personal experience that I had on how there were several different touch points from different people and how they created an amazing experience after the sale. And it's why they keep you coming back. There's a lot of lessons learned on how you can be thinking about creating a really great experience for your customer after the sale to keep them buying from you and creating that really great experience. It was really great. I'm still talking about it. This happened a couple days ago, and I'm still like, wow, that was an amazing experience. Like, these are little things that you didn't have to do. I think that's the big thing. They didn't have to do it. Absolutely not. It's not like it'd be like, oh, I had a bad experience because they didn't do this. I had a better experience because of what they did. I think that's the key. How can you create a better experience for your customers? Right after that after you close that deal, how can you create that better experience, leveraging some of these tools that we have and it's just get in the mind of them, continue to have that high touch experience that you had in the sales process where we're really excited to get that sale, and don't, be like, okay, we got the sale, we got the money, all right, now we're on over here. And last but not least, we had a dear friend of mine, Mike Drapeau from SBI, come in and talk about really that alignment between sales and marketing. This was an awesome episode. We covered a million different things. We talked about a lot of different challenges that the CMO has in the manufacturing facility, really having that accountability for, a sales number versus just like a brand awareness, metric, just looking at, touch points or what have you, really taking an ownership of that marketing role in terms of generating qualified leads, helping to really generate sales. We talked about how to solve challenges, notably how do you touch your end user when you go through distribution? How can you make it easier for them? A lot of great content, a lot of great stuff. You're going to want to listen to this episode. I guarantee it. Take a look.
Many marketing leaders don't understand the coin-operated, day-by-day, quarterly ability to hit numbers. And so they don't have a number. Mm-hmm. So the second fault line is when we work with, especially in industrial companies, we ask the marketing person, what's their number? First question, they don't have a number. So putting that number together and putting it, and so that both share it, that's what we call revenue marketing. So revenue marketers walk into every meeting with the chief sales officer, understanding, hey, I own a number, and the number can be defined various different ways. Let's say, for instance, the number of net new leads generated in a buying persona that are not part of the existing sales go-to-market. Mm-hmm. So that's a way for a marketing person to say, hey, I'm going to owe you 10 of those each month, each quarter, whatever. And that then becomes something that we can rally around. Same thing with campaigns. Sales leaders don't understand campaigns. It's sort of voodoo. Marketing puts the campaign out and suddenly leads fall from the sky. We don't know that we know that's not real. So when we work with CMOs, we make sure that they give a role. Like every marketing campaign, every single one, should have a role for the salespeople, sales manager and sales rep, and literally giving them the scripts, giving them the custom emails, giving them the text message content that they need to send so they can play their role in the campaign. And then it occurs to them, oh, that brand message, that video, that value statement, that's connected to the campaign where I was given that I'm supposed to execute with 5 or 6 or 10 of my clients.
Right. All right, and that's it. And that wraps up our quarterly update for Q3 of 2019. Can you believe it that we're already here? We're moving into fourth quarter of 2019. Before you know it, we're going to blink and it's going to be 2020. So what should you be doing right now? Well, it's budget season. It's time. We are planning right now for what 2020 should be. So you are probably knees deep in trade shows and getting the word out about all your products and services and things so that people can start speccing them and start buying them so that either hits this budget of 2019 or they're going to plan to purchase in 2020. So we've got some great resources that are going to be coming out for you very shortly, and most notably is our Insights survey. We've got that going on right now. We're going to be closing it up very soon and releasing the results so you can have this great information so that you can plan your 2020 and make it better. Maybe you'll be able to help develop a budget, get some buy-in, and start thinking for 2020 on what you really need to be doing. So this report and all this information, this data, is going to help give you a quick snapshot of what the rest of the industry is doing. It's going to help you to be able to figure out, put a benchmark between you and the rest of the industry. Are we ahead? Are we equal? Or are we behind? It's going to be a great tool. You're going to love it. I would love it actually if you participate in it. We've got an open link where you can go and you can download the survey. We'll even give you a $10 gift card if you complete it and you meet all of our criteria. But that's going to be coming down the pipes and it's going to be exciting. So that's all I got for you for today's episode. Thanks so much for listening or watching. Listen, if you are on iTunes or any other podcast station, we would love a review. If you're not on our email list, you need to get on that because there's a lot of great content that's coming out that you're missing. And that's all I got for you today. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Danny Gonzalez, and this is Industrial Sage.